So then comes the final project. Final project is broken down into 4 individual steps. It's choosing a theme, or realizing and ideating your theme. Number 2 is to choose what you're going to be doing. 3, exploring those choices, and then lastly, creating and submitting. So A, it says you're going to be looking at 2 artists. You already looked at your 2 artists in your choose your style lesson, day 6 and day 7. You're going to be looking at the artwork, and you're going to start thinking like, hey, like, what could I do if I was them? Or what would they do if they had my thoughts in their head? Next thing you're going to do is you're going to select from a list of emotions. Click here to choose to see the emotions. And you may zoom in, zoom out, but you have a list of about 300 words here. Or I don't know, I've never counted them. But what you're going to do is choose a word or 2 that you may want to do. I've already kind of looked through this, and I'm going to choose the word different, which is in the middle column. And I'm also going to choose the word original or mysterious. Okay, so I picked 3 words. Really, at the end of the day, you should only be at the bare minimum. You should be picking 1 theme. I'm gonna write those down here. Picked original, mysterious, and different. Okay, so jot those down. You're gonna need them. Okay, going back to theme. So go ahead and click on step 1, theme, if you need to keep reading the instructions. Don't skip any instructions, please. C, student will take their theme and ask themselves, if my artist from Choose Your Own Style wanted to create art using this word, what would they create? So now step D is students may use Google for artwork that relates to that emotive word that they've selected. So click here for select successful keywords that you can punch in on Google. And so it says right here, like, try typing these word combinations into Google to try to find some of that work. So if you just type in like emotive art 2020, 2019, 2018, the reason why I chose 2019 is because 2020 was not a good year for showing artwork anywhere because of the situation we're in. We got neo-expressionist artwork, contemporary art expressionism, unique artwork, emotive or emotion in art, juxtaposed art, colossal art. These are 2 magazines. Your word, so if I typed in like mysterious creative art, see what pops up. It may not give you any good results. It may not give you any good results, but it's worth a shot. And now we have, lastly, save any artwork you might use on your desktop or on OneDrive for easy access. You want to keep referring back to those artworks and art pieces. Choice. So next, explore your possibilities. Use several different things to inspire your exploration. Choose any number of these. Obviously, some of them are not really a choice. You're going to use the theme. That's a start. You're also going to use your artists to borrow from. You're going to borrow from your artists from day 6 and 7. These are your choose your own style. It's the 2 artists that you sketched. It's the 2 artists that you wrote an essay on or made a virtual gallery on. Number 3, the artwork you find on Google. So, the last step 1, asked you to use Google and find some artwork and to save those on your computer. Number 4, backgrounds you've explored. So this is going to help you amplify your work. You want to think from the background forward. When you're creating art, don't just start with the subject, because then your artwork typically ends there. You don't know where to take it from there. Number 5, you may use the neo-expressionist project method for this project. So look at, I wanted to show you some examples of how your art can change. You can go with representational. So that's artwork that represents something that's obviously trying to replicate real life. You got abstract. So you got artwork that is abstracted. This is still a flower. This is still a female, kind of like laying down. I think there's a little kitty cat right there. And there's also this little figure sticking his head through a portal. Even though they do represent things from real life, they're not represented in a real way. The last choice is non-representational art. Here, it's basically like that neo-expressionist painting at the very beginning where nothing was supposed to represent anything. A pencil mark was supposed to be just a pencil mark, paintbrush, a paintbrush stroke. Non-representational means that, like, if someone sees something in there it's just their mind trying to make sense of the work. Typically, it's emotively driven, so it's just painting emotions. Your artwork can look like this, if this is the way you choose to take. And then lastly, find a song on YouTube that resembles. Sorry, find a song on YouTube that resembles the theme you selected. So if you pick a song, now I mean a word like mysterious or different. You can't pick something that's super upbeat and mainstream. Different is not mainstream. You got to find something that's completely like under the radar that not too many people listen to. Maybe something you're not going to find on YouTube, but maybe something you'll find on SoundCloud, with 20 listens instead of 10,000 or a million. All right, so now we're going to move on to exploration. The exploration process is all you. It's going to happen in your sketchbook. So you should have your sketchbook out. And then the goal here is to create an artwork in any medium or style inspired by your day 6 and 7 artists and the theme that you've selected in step 1. Now B says doodle some possibilities in your visual art journal. This is an open investigation. Use those pics you saved as starting points, and you can click here to see some examples and the starting process, which you're going to get here too. So here's an example. So it says if your day 6 and 7 artist focused on making neon signs to express him or herself, like Push It to the Limit by Patrick Martinez, what you want to think is like, hey, I don't have access to make some neon tubes, and I only have 2 days to make this project. How can I use signs to say what I want to say? Well, here you go. This kid right here created a little sign that says fake, put himself on the moon next to Neil Armstrong, and now he's making a statement using a sign, right? It doesn't have to be neon, but it's clever, it's creative. He took this original, put himself in it. Now it's his own piece. All right, so there you go. There's a student who thought of something, a unique way of expressing themselves. Here are some students that, or some people that through the Getty Challenge decided to copy some original artwork, putting themselves in the story. Once you put yourself in the story, once you articulate or change a thing or two, it becomes yours. And so you have this girl, obviously with an arm tattoo, and she's got like her work shirt on, trying to replicate the image right next to her, but putting it in her own way. And lastly, the one I like the best is here, this female with the cleaning supplies. This is COVID era, so she has her thermometer in her thermostat or thermometer in her hand, and a bunch of cleaning supplies instead of parrots, replicating that Frida Kahlo, that famous Frida Kahlo painting. All right, so please look at possibilities, think outside the box. You don't have to paint, you don't have to draw for this final. It could be a photograph, it could be a video. What you have to do is try to capture an aspect of the word that you chose from the theme list. Also, you want to show a little bit of a nod or show that you borrowed inspiration from other people too. So that you got to combine the two. Once you've generated your idea, create your final. You may use watercolor paper, the back side of your Neo-Expressionist painting, the front side of your Neo-Expressionist painting. So if you want to paint over the top of it or add to it, that's fine. Or a large piece of cardboard or a surface found at home. I like wandering through cities and looking through their alleys and finding cardboard, old windows, discarded cabinets, things like that, and paint on those. Your artwork does not have to be a painting or drawing. It can be a photo, action, and experience, but it must be documented by photo or video if it's not 2D work. If it's a painting, begin with the background in mind by either investigating mark making as you did in the Neo-Expressionist project, or create a figurative background as you did in the last painting project. Lastly, allow for the unknown as you explore. No mark is a mistake, just an attempt at understanding the emotion you're attempting to convey. So don't be afraid. Step E reminds me of a very something that it really inspired me, and it was like 2016 footage of the Olympics. And then you had a reporter. You had a reporter who was running around trying to catch all these Olympians, American Olympians, right before, right after their event. And at some point, he approached a swimmer, and he's like, "Ooh, man, like, aren't you nervous about like the next event?" He had his microphone to him. The guy's like, "No, I'm excited." He's like, oh wow, cool. Like I'd be terribly nervous. I'd be terribly worried, distressed, like anxious. And then he moved on to the next athlete. You know, we approached the next athlete, and they were about to start their event. They're like, "Hey, aren't you nervous?" He asked the same question, and the athlete's like, "No, I'm very excited." And then, like at some point, he asked another athlete, and another athlete, and another athlete, and you realize that nerves or fear are the same thing as excitement. It's just how you tap into it and how you use that energy. So when you're nervous, when you're anxious, when you're excited, or like it's the same endorphins. It's the same thing in your brain telling you, hey, I better run away, or I better engage, I better attack, I better fight. It's the same thing as excitement. It's just some people learn how to use it as a superpower instead of as a barrier, as an excuse. So as you grow up and grow older, people are going to put challenging things in your way. People are going to put these challenging tasks in front of you, and you're not going to have all the answers. You're not going to be skilled at what they're asking you to do, but there's only one way to get better at it. And you can choose to either be anxious and fearful of it, or you can use it as a moment to teach yourself to be excited about something that you've never tried before and say, like, hey, what do I got? How good am I at this? Let me give it a shot. I never know what's going to happen. And the best things in your life are going to come to you when you realize that, like, oh, dang, like I was able to do it. Like, what else can I do? It's going to shape you. It's going to make you better. It's going to give you the opportunity or the liberty to try more things. And then you're going to finalize it. You're going to continue to create an emotive vibe by focusing on color, theme, imagery, and or brush strokes. You're going to embrace the 3 goals of art making. We've already talked about them. The 3 goals are layers. Try something and try it again and again. Work from back to front. Invent a world in your art, not just an object on your paper. You want to embrace uncertainty. So find real expression in open-ended exploration, figurative or not. It's not about making something pretty. It can be, but rather focus on art that tells you something new. You know, if you've said it before, if it's been said a million times, don't try it. You got to pick something more original. And that's it. That's your project. Okay, so let's get to it. Let me show you how it's going to be done.